Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. Let's talk about some of the new products Beauty Pie has launched for summer. These are makeup items. I did recently make a Beauty Pie purchase, but I kind of stuck to more makeup options. I feel like I have a really good collection of what Beauty Pie offers when it comes to skincare, body care, as well as makeup. I haven't really dabbled in fragrance or in some of the other things like their tools. I feel like there are some areas that I'm just not that interested in, but I have tried so many of their makeup items. I feel like I can give you a really good rundown of yes, this is worth it, or maybe not. All right, so first thing I want to do is I want to set my face with some powder. I'm going to be using some powder products today, and I'm using their Wonder Filter Magic Blurring Loose Powder. I only got the refill. I love that Beauty Pie is doing more refillable packaging, but right now all they had was the refill and not the actual container that it goes in. So when that comes out, I think it's not back in stock until July. I'll pick one up, but right now I'm just gonna keep, this thing covered here with its little, I'm gonna tip some out onto my palette I have in front of me, put the little tape down, and let's set the under eye and the rest of the face. There are so many powders from Beauty Pie that I haven't tried. I felt like I had been kind of up to date on them. My favorite one is the One Powder Wonder in Uber Lucent Universal. I love that powder. It's white, but it looks so beautiful on the skin. It definitely has a bit of a glow to it, and not in a really like shiny way, but in a skin-like quality way. I really love it. It's great for setting. It's almost non-existent, but it does set. So I never feel like I over apply it. I feel like I'm getting kind of the same thing here. This is definitely more of a mattifying powder. I see that this is coming up matte on the skin, but I feel like overall the one thing that Beauty Pie does really well in their makeup products is powders, and they have both kind of radiant powders as well as matte powders, pressed and loose, that are going to work for a wide range of people. There's always going to be some powders that don't sit well on my under eye area or don't set the foundation or products that I have for base on my forehead so it collects my crinkles. I kind of feel like this is doing a good job. I don't see products settling into like my fine lines under the eye, here in the forehead, into my nasal labial folds or the corner, but I also don't feel, it's obviously a matte powder and it's a matte loose powder, but I don't really feel like my skin is looking dry. It just looks mattified. This is one of the products that I was really excited about because it's a new awesome bronze powder. Look at this. We've got 4 different quadrants here. This is the Awesome Bronze Super Glow Radiance Bronzer. So, well, powder. I'm really curious to see what these swatch like. Let's just get a few little swatchety swatches here. All right, so we have a lighter bronze, deeper bronze, highlight, and blush. The lighter bronze, the deeper bronze, the highlight, and the blush. I really feel like this blush is very pink leaning. Part of me feels like, do I want to wear a pink leaning blush? The other thing that's great about this is that it's refillable. So I already have one of these compacts that has their original Awesome Bronze in it. And this is one product that they still do have for sale. It's not just a summer only. Mine's really gooed up because I use it all the time, but this is the lightest shade. I think this one is called Sunnyside. Yeah, it's Sunnyside. And I love this bronzer, and I like that they're refillable, and the component itself, the compact, is very sturdy. So it's nice to have this. The only thing I worry about now is I have 2 of the same, and which one is which, because the label's on the bottom of the pan inside the compact. And maybe what I'll have to do is move the label to the bottom, like peel it off and stick it on the bottom so I know what's what. But let's put this on. I'm kind of wondering how deep this bronzer is going to be. Okay, I'm going to start with a small-ish face brush. I'm going to try and really hit like the bottom bronzer because I feel like the other one's going to be just like a little too rich for me. I'm going to bounce it off on the back of my hand because I don't want too much. Maybe it's not that pigmented. Oh, okay, spoke too soon. Spoke too soon. I'm just going to keep buffing here. That's the one thing that I feel like Beauty Pie does really well, is that they're able to make products that blend nicely and sit on the skin nicely. I do feel like this is really rather orange on my skin. The one thing that's hard about this, I'm just going to tell you, is that this shade here, although it's a lovely shade, it is too deep for my skin tone. That darker bronze shade, it also leans very warm. I have been kind of opting for either a cooler bronze shade, like something that has a little bit of rose to it, like the Gucci bronzer, the new one from RMS and Beach Walk Betty, or the one I just picked up from Jones Road that is almost a straight up blush. It's so rosy, it's blushy. So having something that is this warm and that is reading orange on my cheeks is not my favorite. Because the pan is divided into 4 quadrants, I'm having a hard time kind of sticking to this bottom one here that is a little bit lighter. I think it might have been better to have, like, instead of 2 shades of bronzer, just 1 shade of bronzer in 2 separate pans. So you had a lighter option and a deeper option. This is not going to suit everybody. It may not be deep enough for some people, and some of these shades too deep for the rest of us. Some people it's going to be perfect for. There's always going to be one of those people, but I feel like I'm having a hard time kind of just keeping my brush from getting in the blush or getting in the other bronzer that's a little too warm. It's definitely a radiant bronzer. It comes across and it really translates to like highlight, almost like a bronzy highlight. And here I'm taking like a clean brush. I touched down right here and I got too much on. So trying to find a way to kind of maybe blend it in and make it look less obvious, as opposed to continuing to try and blend with a brush that I had been applying the product with. This one here is kind of just softening everything. All right, let's go into this. Well, I have a lipstick that I want to try. It's not a new lipstick. It's just one of their refillable bullets. I have their reusable packaging, and I got a shade because I've tried their kind of Wonder Glow Luxe Shine lipsticks. Those were new for last year. They're all right. I tried their unlipsticks. I didn't like those. I do like that they did release their Future lipstick matte lipsticks in refillable packaging. I have some of these that are just in the regular black packaging from several years ago, but I really like this formula. So I picked up a shade called Coral, and that's what it looks like. And that's what I'm wanting to wear today, but I'm wondering if this blush is going to read too cool and too pink. I can probably make it work. Let's try this. I'm going to use this Rougher 19 brush. It's a more pinpointed brush because I'm trying to isolate just the blush, and I'm going to kind of tap around on here. I don't want it to get too pigmented. I definitely want that wash of blush. So I'm going to load up the brush, pounce it off on the back of my hand before I start applying it, because I don't want to have like bronzer part 2 or I put too much on and I knew better and I did it anyway. I'm still going to continue to blend this in with the other brush that I've been using just for blending. One thing I'm seeing is that these are very glowy powders, and I feel like it's kind of bringing out the texture on the surface of my skin. This is not what I was hoping for, but I really feel like it is kind of bringing out the texture, and it looks just a hair dry. And right here, I don't know. I'm a little bit worried. I'm going to hit just the highlight. Not that I really need any more glow, but let's use all 4 quadrants here. I wonder how similar this formula is to their Triple Highlight Glowy Powder. I do have one of the powder highlights from the brand. Let me pull it out and we'll take a look. So this is their Triple Beauty Glowy Powder, and they feel similar. So this one here is the one from the palette that I'm using today. This is the one from the old packaging. It's kind of hard to see, but this one right here is the old formula, this one right here. And this one here tends to be just a little bit more golden, and I feel like it's just slightly drier. And maybe it's the color that's throwing me off. This one's a little bit more yellow gold, and this one has a little bit more of a light white icy look to it. I have liked this one in the past. I feel like this one's okay, but it is going over the top of what I already have down that is super glowy. The other thing is I have noticed a huge difference in my skin in the last 6 months. I feel like perimenopause is coming for me. And my skin is looking drier. I'm losing elasticity. I'm trying to do everything I can to keep my skin in good condition, but we all age. And I'm fine with the aging, but I feel like maybe the day of powder glowy products might be coming to an end because I feel like they don't sit as well on my skin as they used to. Now, that doesn't make me mad. I just need to understand the sort of products that I'm going to be reaching for in the future. And I may just get to the point where I'm like, yeah, not this. Another product I picked up during the summer release was kind of like a duo set that comes with their Flawless Eyeshadow Primer and their 4-shade eyeshadow palette. This is interesting because in years past, I like that this one here, let me tip the little brush out. These guys are refillable. Look, you can pull these out. And I think that's fantastic. I do like the refillable packaging. In the past, their quads used to come in plastic packaging, looked very similar to Charlotte Tilbury, didn't have a place for a brush. And I feel like because the pans here are glued in, if you run through something, I wonder if they're going to sell these shades individually or they're going to sell them as a quad. I would be really curious to see if they start selling singles. That would be intriguing. Here is what the brush looks like. Look how small it is. This is minuscule. It is fluffy. We've got kind of like a buffing, blending, sort of side here and something a little bit bigger. I feel like let's try and use this a little bit today just for giggles, but I think I'm probably going to switch out to full-size tools. But this is one of those things, if it does a fairly good job, I might leave it in the compact if I ever go traveling and inevitably I forget something like an eyeshadow brush. But I know that these work well with fingers as well, but let's start here with the lightest of the two matte shades. Oh, primer. Did you see? I almost did that. I'm so used to not using primer. All right, what does this look like? Ooh. Okay, it looks almost like a concealer. I don't think I need a lot of this. The only other eyeshadow primer I have in my collection right now is a MAC paint pot. I know it's not really a primer, but I use it as one. I do have like the NYX glitter glue. I used to have the Milani eyeshadow primer, which I really like, except one of my kids was complaining about how they didn't have any primers. Like, here, take this. And that's because I usually don't use primer. I thought when I was getting this set that because they have a new highlight shade that comes in a tube like this, I thought this was the highlight and the eyeshadow together. I was not paying attention. It was late at night and I should have paid attention to see, read what is it that's coming. Because I probably would have just gotten the eyeshadow on its own as opposed to getting this little duo kit. Okay, so I do have that lightest brown shade here. I feel like this is mostly dry, not terribly tacky. A little bit, not bad. The one thing that's hard about using something that's this short is that the farther back you hold a brush, like if you're to hold a brush back here, you're putting less pressure. And here, I feel like I'm right up against the end. That kind of deposits more, it's just the pressure, and I feel like it's a heavier application and I'll be less wispy. But let's do one side and see what it's like. I don't know. Maybe I don't have to keep going with this. The reason I bring this up is that these are the tools that came in my $68 YSL mini clutch. This brush is much stiffer and not as soft as this one from Beauty Pie. And here we do have another brush on the other end. And what YSL includes is a double-ended sponge tip applicator. So this is coming in a luxury quad, and I feel like we're definitely getting something better here, but it's still, I feel like this is like the just in case brush. So I'm going to stop. For my own sanity, I'm going to stop, and I'm going to see if I can blend this out with one of my nice brushes here. Beauty Pie does make some really nice synthetic brushes. I do like that about them. I feel like they have some quality products. I've tried a few of them in the past, but they're not the first place I go to for buying synthetic brushes. I would much rather have ones from BK Beauty. I would much rather have ones from maybe Wayne Goss. He just launched a new line of synthetic brushes. I think there are other places that I would go to. I do like some of the ones from Real Techniques. They have some really lovely brushes, and the IT brushes, like IT cosmetic brushes or the IT ones for Ulta. Those are really nice as well. I tend to use more natural hair brushes, but I know natural hair brushes are not something that everyone chooses to reach for. But if you're making a Beauty Pie order, I have tried them. They're nice. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to use the little tiny baby side here, and we're going to smudge a little across the bottom. You know, in a pinch, I feel like you could get like a legit look from this little brush here. Would it be easy? Not as easy as using full-size brushes, but you know, I feel like it's not a bad thing to put in there, because sometimes I feel like the brush and the sponge tip applicators and the YSL, they're not even in the compact anymore. I tossed them out and I have them over here on my desktop, and I kind of giggle when I see them, but I'm not going to keep them in there because I'm more likely to use my fingers with that quad if I needed to, if I didn't have brushes available to me, than these guys, because I feel like this brush here is so stiff. It would actually just turn it would pick up so much, it would break it up, and then you get so much fallout in the pan, you'd be wasting product. But I feel like this one here is not a throwaway, unless you don't want to use something this tiny. But I feel like the quality of the bristles themselves, I can tell thought went into this, and I feel like, am I going to reach for it every day that I reach for this palette? No. But if I ever need to, because forgetful me forgot to take brushes along and I'm taking this on vacation, yeah, I would use that. I'm going to grab a little bit of this here. I like this slightly darker shade. I'm going to tap it between both eyes. I feel like this is the same look I do all the time. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that I've tried other shapes on the eyes, and based on how close my eyes are set together, how small they are, if I put darkness in the inner corner, that's not a good look for me. I'm just going to take a totally clean brush and just kind of blend all of this together. I've kind of gotten back in the habit of using clean brushes for blending. I did that on the face, I'm doing it here on the eye, and that is something I used to do a lot more regularly, and then I just got lazy. And I saw Lisa Eldridge do a video a couple weeks back talking about what a difference it makes, and I was like, yes, it does, I know this. And I've known it for years. I get lazy. That's why I don't use face primer. That's why I don't use eye primer. Does it help? Yeah. Can I live without it? Usually. But I feel like I'm more likely to get a successful eye look that I later don't feel like is out of balance, like too much color in one spot and not well distributed or well blended, if I do take the time to do this. So I've been kind of designating one or two brushes just for blending. I was so glad that I took the time last night to wash all my brushes. Oh my goodness. They were so dirty, and there were so many to wash, more than normal. All right, let's start jumping into, oh my goodness, this shade is beautiful. All right, here we go. These are really lovely metallics. That's the one thing that I feel, I like the mattes, but I love the metallics. But you know me, I'm like a bird. I want a shiny thing. And then I'm gonna grab this shade here on a small brush, because I feel like if I stick my finger right here in the inner corner, I'm gonna end up with more pigment there that I intended to. So I'm gonna lay this here kind of like on the inside, little bit of the lid and right in the inner corner. And then I'll take a different brush to blend it out with. Before I put on the lipstick, I'm gonna throw on some mascara and liner, and I'll be right back. Before I move on to lips, I'm gonna use some of the Beauty Pie Jeju Daily. This is a hydration mist. This is not a setting spray. I think they do have setting sprays, but what I'm looking for is to get rid of some of this dry, slightly powdery look to the face. I don't think it was from the loose powder. I think it was from this guy. I feel like this guy is maybe not ideal for me and where my skin is right now, but let's see if we can bring some life back to this. And then I'm just gonna take a sponge, kind of press it in, because I feel like at this point, what my skin needs is to look like skin and not look like powder. I feel like that really helped. I don't feel like my skin looks as dry. It is still very glowy over here. This was the side where I picked up too much bronzer, especially the darker one, and I touched it down over here, and I can definitely see that difference in my face. I might need like a little bit more blush on this side, and I'm not picking up anymore. I'm just using what was left on the brush. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna pull out a Beauty Pie liner. This is one of my favorite shades. This is the shade Chai. It's kind of like a neutral shade. What I'm looking for is definition at the Cupid's bow, and especially right here. I just finished using my finger to kind of blend the lip liner, you know, so I don't have such a harsh line, and it's not just like stuck in certain places. I kind of like smoothed it all over. I could certainly go like this and put like a lip gloss or a lip oil up at the top, but I am going to reach into this. This is their Future lipstick, and this is the shade Coral Smash. This is the one that I thought would be fun for summer. I like the shade of Coral Smash. It's so pretty. I feel like it goes really well with the green as well. I feel like, part of me feels like maybe we need a little bit on the cheeks. And at this point, I'm much more likely to use something like this. I'm just gonna use my sponge to pick it up and apply just a little bit. And this is definitely gonna tie it together with the lips. Having a little bit of this on the cheeks is gonna help give the color that I need, but also because it's a cream product, it's not gonna be too matte. I feel like overall it turned out okay in the end, but I was a little worried, especially with the bronzer. And I feel like you can see a little bit more of the glow here because that's where my brush touched down with both of these shades, and it was too much for my fair skin. I feel like overall it looks okay now, but this product has me concerned. I feel like this shade is too dark for my skin tone and too warm. It's very, very orange. It might make a nice eyeshadow, but on my cheeks, it's just too much. This one here is nicer because it's a little bit more neutral, but it does have a lot of shine to it. But it's hard, unless I'm using a really small brush, to get just in here. I feel like it's easier for me to use like a pinpointed brush like this and to hit the blush. But this is, I feel like, maybe made for somebody who's not as fair as I am. I feel like for me, it's a little much. And it's partly 49-year-old skin that's on the dry side, and I feel like my skin texture is changing as I'm getting older. I'm seeing it more acutely in the last 12 to 6 months, especially the last 6 months, that this may not be the most ideal thing for me. One thing that I do love that they brought back this year is this. This is the cream bronzer. This is the Awesome Bronze Gorgeous Sunkissed Bronzing Cream. This is the lightest shade in Sunnyside. The texture of this is beautiful. It is warm, but not too much. It blends super. Do you see how easy that is to blend? I really like this product. If you're fair and you're wanting to try stuff from the Beauty Pie line, I love this cream bronzer. I also really like the one I showed you earlier. This one here is just their regular, and this one is not as radiant as the two that are in the new quad. It has a subtle shine to it. It's like a barely satin bronzer, so it's not a flat matte, but it's nowhere near as shiny as these two guys. Do you see how these guys have a lot of shine to them? This one has a very subtle kind of not quite matte, and I really like the cream. I feel like if you're looking for a bronzer, and unless you really love glowy products and you like the look of that on your skin, I would opt for just the single pan of the bronzer in Awesome Bronze. And they have a multitude of shades, as well as the cream bronzer, depending on powder or cream. And I've used both of these interchangeably. When it comes to what I picked up, I feel like the winners for me, I really do like this lipstick. I feel like the color is fun. It's a good punchy color for summer. I don't feel like it's too much. It's just enough for me with my darker hair. I think it's great. I also really like this eyeshadow quad. I feel like this is great. And I like the upgrade of the refillable packaging. I think that's fantastic. I do like this powder. I like the way it looks under my eyes. My under eyes don't look dry. Everything's great. This was not what was giving that slightly powdery look. I feel like it was the other, like the cheek products, but I can't wait until they get the component to put this in. But I was like, I want to try it, and it's available. So yeah, this has been good. This is one of those things I'm curious to see how my eyeshadow wears today. One thing I do know is I have two other quads from Beauty Pie. Like, this is the old packaging. I have two, and if the formulas are the same from the new one to the old one, I know that this wears well on my lid without eyeshadow primer, because I'm not your eyeshadow primer kind of person. But I feel like, again, few more colors, because not everybody is going to find this as useful as somebody as fair as I am is going to. This is the one right here. Okay. I wanted to love this. I wanted to love this. And in the photos, it looked so pretty. Like even the embossing on the pan of like, you know, a woman's face in profile with 4 different colors. These I feel are not doing me at 49 years old with, you know, fine lines, wrinkles. This needed something like hydration to be put back on. And I feel like once I went over it, like I sprayed the Jeju kind of hydrating mist on, and I did this, I don't know if it picked up some of the powder or it melted the powder in and I was pressing it in. It doesn't look as powdery now, and it looks so much better. But this is one of those that if I continue to use it, I'm definitely not going to be using this really bold bronze shade here on the face. I might use it on the eyes. I feel like the rest of the shades work, but I wish the pans either like make it this big. So each quadrant could be easier to get a full-size face brush in. I feel like these two are kind of easy because I can use a smaller brush, but with the bronzer, if I'm using a smaller brush, it's just harder to do and it takes longer. It would be really nice if they were, you know, creating a large pan like this. Do you remember the, was it the Laura Geller had those giant ones? I know It Cosmetics used to have them where half of it was bronzer and then you had 1/4 that was blush, 1/4 that was highlight. A lot of brands have done that. I know that Ulta Beauty has like their own in-house kind of compact like that, and they're really beautiful glowy powders. But I feel like although this is a good idea, the shades are not for me. And I feel like the textures of the powders, although I always feel like Beauty Pie does beautiful powders, I could just see these sitting on the skin. They needed some help. I'll keep using it. I'll let you know. But my first inclination is this is the one thing that I'm not going to be like instantly reaching for. Hey, let me know when it comes to Beauty Pie, are you a fan? Are there things that you have decided that, you know, I really love and I always buy from Beauty Pie? I have a lot of things that I really like. I did also get a re-upped on the Oxygen Instant Facial Refueling Mask. This is really great. And they sent as kind of like a bonus the Wonder Scrub. And this is a face polish. I've never tried this before. I don't use as many, maybe a little bit more now, like physical exfoliants. I tend to prefer a chemical exfoliant, but this is great. I use this at night on the face, like as a overnight sleeping mask to really hydrate the skin. This is beautiful. I have so much skincare, so much body care from Beauty Pie. I feel like those sorts of things really work well for me. And I feel like when they do something really great with their makeup, it is really great. I like their eyeliners. I like their lip liners. I like their matte lipsticks. I love their Wonder Gloss Collagen Lip Oil. It's one of my favorite all-time products. I feel like when they do certain things, they do them really well. And then other times, it's not always exactly what I'm looking for. And this is one of those I had high hopes for and I feel kind of missed the mark for me at 49. Let me know what your thoughts are. Do you try a lot of Beauty Pie stuff? Do you have a lot of makeup or skincare or fragrance or tools and other things or supplements? What is it that you love from Beauty Pie, or what have you tried that just didn't work for you? I'd be interested to hear what that is. Thank you so much for making time to watch today, and I'll see you again soon.